Hello everyone, welcome to our Sunday service. Special thanks today for Jim and Lucy for providing the music, for Betty for doing the reading, and for the prayers which are done by Sadie, and for Bill and Morna who've done an interview at the end of the service. I hope you have a very happy and healthy day.
The reading is from Matthew chapter 7, beginning at verse 13. Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. Watch out for false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves. By their fruit you will recognize them. Do people pick grapes from thorn bushes, or figs from thistles? Likewise, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus, by their fruit you will recognize them. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only he who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name drive out demons and perform many miracles? Then I will tell them plainly, I never knew you. Away from me, you evildoers. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall, because it had its foundations on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. When Jesus had finished saying these things, the crowds were amazed at his teaching, because he taught as one who had authority, and not as their teachers of the law.
A prayer from the moderator, Martin Fair. Living God, you are our creator and our maker, and the very breath of life is given as your gift. We thank you for the gift of life, and we embrace and treasure that gift. Living God, you are the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, whose presence in the world reveals your love for us. In the giving of your Son, you reveal the depths of your love. Living God, your Son embraced the cross and the depths of human suffering. We thank you that you delivered him on the day of resurrection. Living God, as you spoke to the bereft and the orphaned in days past, speak to the bereft and the orphaned in days present. Speak to the uncertain and the anxious. Speak into the depths of our incomprehension and fear. Living God, your promise is that we will not be left alone to face the world. We thank you that through the gift of your Spirit, that promise is fulfilled. Living God, be with all who sustain our common life at this time. Carers and nurses, cleaners and porters, doctors and ambulance staff, delivery drivers and posties. Through their giving, our common life is sustained. Living God, as you have watched over us in the past, watch over us in the present, as once more we thank you that through Christ and by your Holy Spirit, we are not alone. Amen.
once heard the story of someone leaving a church after a service. A cynical passer-by said to them, "Is the sermon done?" "No," said the churchgoer, "the sermon's not done. The sermon is to be done." And that's the theme of our reading today, Jesus' teaching in parable. It's about doing what Jesus tells us, not just listening to it. Many people leave the main point of what they have to say or preach to the very end. And it may be true of our passage today at the end of Matthew chapter 7. The parable of the two builders, the wise and the foolish builders, comes at the very end of the Sermon on the Mount, that great collection of Jesus' teaching. And so this may be the punchline, if you like, of all that Jesus has to tell us. It's not good enough just to hear. We have to be doing his word. Jesus uses the example of fruit trees producing good or bad fruit. We live in an agricultural area and we can appreciate that. Maybe not so much the orchards around here, but the fruit of the fields and the crops. Every year, sometimes twice a year in each field, you see the green shoots and then they grow taller and then the corn begins to ripen golden, barley or wheat or whatever it happens to be. And in the winter, it also sprouts up, literally. The Brussels sprouts and other winter vegetables are there in the fields, and the crop is there. Jesus is telling us that the true test of following him as disciples is not about our doctrine, what we believe, but about our practice, our behaviour, what we actually do. For example, you might believe in taking a cold shower every morning because you've heard it's good for you, but you never actually do it, so it's not going to benefit you. Richard Rohr says this: "Our personal relationship with Jesus seems to be based on a very small notion of Christ. We've modelled church after a filling station where people attend weekly services to fill up on their faith." I like that analogy. You can just imagine people, as we drive up to a filling station to fill our cars, driving up to a church to be filled up on a weekly basis. And of course he goes on to say that that's not what it's all about. Imagine if we applied the same double standards to virtues like forgiveness, or loving our neighbour, or helping the poor, or other teachings of Jesus. Imagine if we believed they were true and right and good, but never actually did them. We'd have a church which believes in Jesus, in everything that Jesus actually said, but never actually does it. The well-known parable of the two builders gives a stark contrast. In life, we often say nothing is black and white, but in God's eyes, that's exactly how it is. And what Jesus calls the day of judgment, in other words, will reveal it. He says, "The narrow way leads to life, and few find it." In his commentary on Matthew, Dick France sums it up this way: True discipleship is a minority religion. The past few months of virus lockdown have given us all some terrible stories to hear and read of suffering and loss. But there have also been stories of courage, of generosity, of service, and of sacrifice. Not just because people have heard the words of Jesus about loving our neighbour, but they've actually gone out and done them. Derek Vreeland, in his book By the Way, which we're using in our small groups during the week, asks this question: what does the life Jesus offers look like? How does walking in the Jesus way help you to experience that life? May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. Welcome, a warm welcome today to Bill and Morna, who are with us. Bill is an elder in the Abbey Church. Bill and Morna are very much part of the congregation. Would you like to introduce yourselves, say a little bit about yourselves?
Right. Well, I'll start, although Morna's got all the ideas and everything written down. But Morna and I came to North Berwick about 14 years ago after having lived in Longnidry for almost 37 years. Prior to that, my job had taken me around Britain, including Birmingham, Walsall, Leeds.
Then we came to Longnidry, didn't we?
From Leeds.
Yes, we
I
did.
thought it was from Wakefield.
Yeah. Okay.
So we came to Longnidry.
What was that job, Bill? What was it you were doing that took you
I
around?
was basically a salesman selling stainless steel tubes to breweries and dairies and other factories using stainless steel tubes to carry liquid round the factory.
I mean, your background was chemistry, really, but you never used your chemistry from the day you left university, did you?
Well, I did a bit of metallurgy at one stage, but no, I never actually used my chemical degree in my working job.
And what about yourself, Maud, and your working days? I presume you're both retired, am I correct?
Yes.
Both retired. We've been retired for 20 years now. I was a teacher, a home economics teacher, and I was actually at North Berwick High School for about 6 years. And my boss was Isabel Smith, wonderful boss. And I ended up my career at what was Julianesque Valley College, teaching students with special needs, which I particularly enjoyed doing.
And what brought you to North Berwick? Was it through your work or for some other reason?
No, I was moved back. I worked for a firm of management consultants, and they had a vacancy in their Edinburgh office, and I was moved back from Birmingham to work in the Edinburgh office. Shortly after,
And then we moved to
well,
Longnidry.
then we moved to Longnidry. We couldn't afford the houses in
Edinburgh.
Edinburgh, so we moved to Longnidry, and we had a very happy 37 years in Longnidry. Made many friends, enjoyed the church, and took an active role in
Fair trade.
fair trade,
Mhm.
which was just starting up at that time. Leslie and
Mark Wilson.
Mark Wilson were in charge, and
And then we came down to Longnidry, to North Berwick 13 years ago, didn't we?
yes,
Yeah. And really because I think we had contacts here, having taught here, and I played bridge here, and you always wanted to have a house with a view. And we've got a little bit of a view here, not a bit obstructed, but we've got a bit of a view. So it's been a good move.
And some of your family is here.
Our son and family are here, and our daughter and two grandchildren who are at the high school, and our daughter and her daughter are in Edinburgh. So we're very fortunate to have family round about.
That's lovely. Now, can I ask you, in these unusual times of lockdown and social distancing and all that sort of thing, how are you getting on, and what difference has it made to your normal routine of life?
we've not suffered in any way with the lockdown, and we're very lucky to be living in such a nice locality with the beach and the golf course for exercise. And I suppose the big thing, the difference that it's made, is that we miss meeting our friends, having our friends in for a meal or coffee or something like that. And we've certainly been endeavouring to do things that we never had time for before. And I included that Morna is mad about cleaning the house. And that seems to be her biggest.
We've really missed, we've missed going to church, we've missed meeting people, we've
Absolutely.
missed getting out and around. And we had quite a lot of activities. Bill has a little bit of memory trouble, And there was things in place that helped this problem. There was the choir that was helping, and there was a thing called memory spinners we went to, and Rotary, and a bit of golf, whatever. And these things have all had to be set aside at the moment. Having said that, everybody in North Berwick we have found have been hugely helpful. We've had offers for shopping, offers to do this, that, and the next thing. We've been we think we're extremely lucky where we are.
I feel a bit frustrated that I've not been able to help in a positive way to assisting people who need a bit of help and who are possibly living alone, or need their shopping looking after, or what have you. And I have felt frustrated that I haven't done more of that.
Are there any ways that you've been able to keep in touch with people, or do any of the things you used to do, which you can't do face to face now?
We've been doing things online. We've been doing some exercise classes online and meeting with some friends and family on Zoom. But I must tell you that one of the things that I find particularly very frustrating is technology, because it so easily goes wrong for us. If we press the wrong button or do the wrong thing, that's been hard for us. Although, it is a saviour in many ways as well.
Well, you're not the only ones who find it frustrating, I can tell you. And you've also been making some face masks for people.
Yes, Mary was the chief maker, but I did a few to help her, so that was good. We have been doing a bit of gardening, and managed to get some bedding plants just this last day or two. So that's a job that's going to be done soon. And I feel that we really are beginning to ease a bit. So that's good.
One other question I'd just like to finish with. Do you think after this is all over, there are any positive things to take out from it, any lessons or any good things?
Well, I think we're a little more technologically advanced. I, for one, have been very bad and neglectful in keeping up to date with the movement in technology. And I think I've, a lot of different matters have come into my vocabulary. I'd never heard of the word Zoom before. And I found them very useful, even just on a social basis. We often get an invitation from Warner sisters, one who lives in Holland and one who lives near London, to join them in a Zoom drinks party. And that means a lot to us, and I think to them, particularly the one in London who lost her husband only a few months ago. So there's been a wee bit eye-opener for me to pick up on technology.
Well, I think we have been in touch with friends that we only maybe have a Christmas card from, and people have been kind of getting in touch, seeing how you are. I think life will change a bit after this, quite frankly. We've got more time to think about things. We've got more time to do things. Cooking has taken a bit longer, because I've had time to kind of think about it, and we've been enjoying our food. Life has not been too bad. I have to say that our grandchildren, who are both at the high school, are finding that it's been quite hard for them. One of them was going to do his hires, and the other one her Nat 5s, and of course neither of them have been able to sit their exams, and I think that's very hard.
And it's been particularly hard for our eldest granddaughter, who's starting her first year at university at Newcastle.
And she's home now.
So she's not really experienced Newcastle and university life the way that perhaps others have when they're away for the first year. So she's making good headway, I think.
Yeah.
Having enjoyed our church connections in Longniddry, it was a great joy for us to come and join Abbey Church, where we were made to feel very welcome, where we've met a lot of friends and people who are involved in all sorts of activities. And I think you as the minister are doing a very good job in keeping us going at this particularly difficult time. And I think your knowledge of technology has impressed me.
This is a different message.
It's not great, but you were involved a lot in tradecraft and in Christian aid. Those have been part of your church service.
Yes, very much so, very much so.
Mhm.
I'm also involved in, having been in Rotary before coming to North Berwick, I've joined North Berwick Rotary, and that gives me a great deal of pleasure to be involved in helping others with our Rotary projects.
Very good, very, very worthwhile organisation. Well, that's good to hear. That's a nice positive note to finish on. So, best wishes, good health, keep well, and we look forward to meeting up face to face and doing the things that we always used to do before too long.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye.
very much for today. Thank you.
Bye.